Hi, my name is Dave Summers. I'd like to talk about and explain the PTLLS courses. PTLLS stands for the Preparing to Teach in the Lifelong Learning Sector. Now, these courses, in particular Level 3 and Level 4, have superseded the Professional Trainer course and the old Trainer certificates. It's a more intensive course. It is internally verified and externally verified, and it is an Ofqual accredited qualification. Now, when I deliver these training courses, I always start off with the domestics. So that's what I'll go through now. Domestics include, first of all, an introduction of yourself. So you need to go into the background, or your background rather, explain what you've done. Take no longer than about a minute to explain your background and why really you're qualified to undertake this session. You need to mention about all the health and safety, including fire. So you need to introduce if there are any fire drills expected, when they're expected, when you need to leave the building. But if no fire drills are expected, then if the fire alarm does go, then treat it like the real thing and go through the fire procedure. Now, you might find that you're in a building you're not used to, you've never trained there before, so you need to find out all these facts from the person at the venue before you start the training course. Health and safety, go through any details that might affect people's health and safety, any slip, trip or fall hazards, anything that might pose a problem during the session, trailing cables, bags on the floor, etc. Mention about mobile phones. If anybody's got mobile phones, ask them to switch them to off or silent, and if they do have to take the call, then to leave the room to take the call. Mention about toilet breaks, where the toilets are. Again, you might have to find this out from the manager of the venue facility. And just mention that they don't have to put their hand up or stand and set it to go as and when they want to. And mention if the presentation does warrant any breaks, like it's a full day presentation or training course, then mention about the morning break and afternoon break, when it is. Mention if there's a lunch break and the time of that, and if lunch is provided. And mention to them the finish time. That's very important. People want to know where they finish or when they finish, the exact time or just before. And always finish with something like any questions if people are not sure about it. Another thing you need to introduce as well is about equality. Mention that the course is open to all people regardless of any of the strands of equality, such as age, sex, gender, colour, creed, race, etc. Now, you also need to mention about the course domestics. Now, with this particular course, I tell delegates that there will be handouts given to people, and handouts are available perhaps on my website, that they can take as many notes as they want to. I'll go through all the salient points as I go through the course with them. I'll be playing DVDs of other candidates actually going through their domestics. Books, I'll explain the sort of books that are available regarding the PTLLS courses and how to pass the PTLLS assignments. I'll be demonstrating teaching aids, how to use them efficiently, and how to train properly. How to make sure you're standing in the correct position, how to use your hands, how to use voice, and how best to start any session off. Domestic introductions. Now, this is what I ask my delegates to do for the following morning. So tomorrow you will each introduce the health and safety and domestic arrangements of your presentation. You can use any media for the session, but you must include 2 session plans. The sessions will be videotaped for feedback, and I will cover session plans before we leave today. And the sort of things you need to include are, which I included on my domestics, a personal introduction, toilets, fire, health and safety, breaks, lunch, finish time, no smoking, the use of mobile phones switched to silent, and the course I will be delivering is, and then you can mention the type of course that you will be delivering. Also, full information about the course, for example, note-taking, handouts, books provided, teaching aids used, etc. Then I start with an icebreaker, and I'll explain what these are later on, but it's really something to break the ice. You'll always find as a trainer or a presenter that you will have stage fright for the first 5 or 10 minutes when you introduce yourself and go through your domestics. So break that ice and let the delegates introduce themselves. The sort of things I use are ask for their name, if they can stand up, give their name, why they're on this course, and to give a 2-minute presentation on what brought a smile to your face over the last couple of weeks, either in your workplace or at home. And then write 5 things about yourself on a flip chart. Now I asked them to come to the front of the course to actually give this presentation and to write the 5 things about themselves on a flip chart. And this is when I can start to gauge what they're like with presentations, what sort of confidence they've got, what voice inflection, projection, and how they write on a flip chart.